We just got left off at the beginning of Memvov. We just turned the page. Ramami interpreted the Mishnah to say, when it says in the Mishnah that if she eats one and another one and another one, it's going on the conclusion, and it says as long as one of them is a Shavat Pruta, it doesn't mean the first or the second that she already had eaten. It means the last day he had given her, if that's a Shavat Pruta, then she's married. Because the first two, which no longer existed when he concluded the act, that's considered milveh, right? It's considered a debt. You can't marry with a debt because it's something he has to give her. We'll discuss it in a moment. So Rabami says, Shmami, Omer Rav Shmami Rabami Plus. We're able to draw from Rabami three halachas, three laws. Hamakarish milvein v'kodeshes. Shmami hamakarish milvu pruto. That when you marry a woman with a milveh, with a debt, waiving a debt and giving her something, although it's considered inconsequential compared to what you're waiving, daita pruta. The mindset is on the pruta, is on the cent. Although it's not so simple. Right? We had earlier, in the first parak, Tosa says, if a person marries a woman with something, and she's not sure of the value of what it may be, and she thinks it's much more, it's not simple she's married. Why? Because she believes she's getting something of greater value. That's why she agreed to be married, and she's getting something of lesser value. Therefore, Tosa says, our minhag is we don't marry with a diamond ring. We marry with gold. Because gold, the woman has an idea of its value. But a diamond, it's not possible to know what its value is. It can be worth multiples. She may believe it's worth multiples of what it's worth. In fact, it's worth a fraction. So she's only agreeable to marry because she thinks she's getting more. So it's daita. So what's her intent? You give me such a value, of course I'll marry you. Then she realizes it's worth a tenth of its value. So since it's a commodity which you have to have an expertise to understand what it is and what it's not, therefore, our minhag is we don't use a diamond ring. Engagement ring diamond is fine. But the marriage ring is always a piece of metal. If you give her something she believes is worth $1 million, and it's worth 10 cents, she's not married. No, she's not married. She's not married. No. Because it's under false pretenses. She believed she was getting more and she was getting less. Even though we don't know, but there's a strong possibility that may be the case. And if that's the case, then the marriage is not a marriage. But over here, she's aware what's happening. He's waiving a debt and simultaneously giving something worth a cent. So we say that although the debt may be multiple times the value of what he's giving her, what her mindset is, she's being married with what she's receiving right now. What is she receiving? It may be a cent. He waives a debt of $1 million and gives her a penny. I'm marrying you and he even says it. I'm waiving the debt. I'll be agreeable to marry you I'll waive the debt for you, and here's the ring. And the ring its value is a fraction of what the debt was. She is married. No, because she's not aware. The case over there, she believes what she's receiving is worth more than what she's receiving. Here he's telling exactly. There's a debt, I'm waiving the debt, and I'm giving you the ring. The ring is a fraction of what the debt is. So we say, what was her mindset? She's being married to what she's actually physically receiving. What is she receiving? She's receiving the ring. She doesn't have to know Allah. She doesn't have to know Allah. No, we say that is the mindset. A person says, what I give you, what she's actually receiving is what she receives in her hand. So the average person, the mindset is, I'm marrying, I agree. Two things are happening. You're waiving the debt, but what am I receiving? Right? I'm receiving what? I'm receiving the ring, or I'm receiving the cent, the item, the object. Right.
So the reason that a loan isn't effective in causing marriage is the technical analysis.
As we discussed yesterday.
You would think it would be. I'm giving $1 million loan, and I'm giving you this 5-cent object. The 5-cent object works, the loan doesn't work.
But why?
It's a technical decision.
Technical.
Okay, fine. I'm not getting you why. It's a technical
Correct.
decision. But if you take the average person and you do this for them, then to say the mind is on the pruta, that's unusual. If there's a forgiveness of a loan of $1 million, my mind is on that. That is the big
No,
deal.
I believe he says. He originally says, I'm marrying you with this and that and that. And as he gives it to her, he eats it. She eats the various dates. And now the first dates are considered milveh, are considered debt. But she understands everything's said and done. She owes him nothing. She doesn't have to reimburse him for the dates which she had eaten. Because originally he gave it, but she ate him too early. She ate them before it was concluded, the act. So in her mind, you'd say, well, I believe he's marrying me with what? With all three. So we say no. We say a person, since when the statement concluded, it concluded with what she received, her mind is what she actually has. That's the way a person thinks. I hear the difficulty. I hear the difficulty.
I struggled with that yesterday, and I came up with a satisfied kiddushin in order to be chal has to be satisfied with giving.
No. You know, you have to appreciate the difficulty. Difficulty is, factually, if a person would know the halacha, okay, you know the halacha. Of course, you have in mind, I'm being married. But factually, what were the words he said? I am marrying you with A, B, C, all three. And she eats it as they go along. And at the end of the story, she's only receiving the third item because the first two no longer exist. But originally, he said, I'm marrying you with all three. That's what he said. So it comes out, he says, I'm marrying you with the debt and the penny. So if her mind is that she's married with the debt and the waiving of the, and I will not claim the debt that you owe me, so her mind is that she's receiving what originally he said he would give her. So, but she's not receiving that, right? A man says, I will give you $1 million, and he gives her $1. She's not married. Because he has to transfer $1 million to her. If not, she's not married. I'm giving you ABC. What did he give her? He only gave her one, a third of what he originally said he'll give her. Because the first 2/3, that's waiving a debt. So we say, daita pruta. Her mindset is on what she's receiving in reality, what's tangible. That's the person's mindset, okay? I hear the difficulty.
The issue is the marriage. She is being proposed for marriage, so she's going to focus on paying out from the
No, but
marriage.
it does.
So the focus is on the fruta.
Let's say a man says to a woman, now, man says to a woman, if you will marry me, I'll waive the debt. If you agree, I will waive the $1 million debt. Then he comes under the he says, Harei b'kedeshesli betapazu. That's understood. She's married. She knew that if she agrees to marry him, she will no longer have the debt. But what is he actually marrying? What did he say? I'm marrying you with the ring. That's not our case. He says, I'm marrying you, bezu, bezu, bezu. He said, I'm marrying you with all three. It turned out because she ate them too soon, the first 2/3 of what he said he'd give her turned into a debt. So what? But even that we say, her mind is on what she's receiving, not on what he's waiving. Okay? We're gonna have it later in the parak.
All three, all three, in the final, he gives her, and that was the fruta.
She's not married.
She's not married, but what status do those three items have?
She has to reimburse him. She has to reimburse him for the value of whatever she ate.
Yeah, but he says the married would do this, and it's like a false proposal. It's not really a loan.
It's not a first, but that's what we discussed in Talmud Beis. I only gave it to you. It should be yours only if it's going to be a marriage. Otherwise, you have no right to have it.
Can you come back and explain this diamond why that's ineffective?
No, we're concerned that she may have overvalued what she received, and therefore she only agreed because she was receiving something of greater value. But if she would have known it was of lesser value, she wouldn't have been agreeable to marry. Here she's fully aware of everything. Here we're talking about technicalities.
So the estimation that she's getting might be in conformance with the real number.
And as a result of that, she may have not been in agreement to marry.
What the opposite case?
The cubit is a common.
She thinks the value is less than it.
Then it's not a problem. Definitely not a problem.
D.
Here she eats the patient. She expecting 3 days. So she eats 2 of them, and then he changes his mind. He doesn't give her the third one. She has to give back the other 2 because of the
That we'll discuss in a minute. No, we'll see. We'll see. Okay. Ushmamni most bal mechozrim. And we're able to draw from Rabami that normally, if it doesn't conclude, she has to return what he gave to her. Right? We don't say the money that was given to her was a gift, but rather she has to return the money, which we can discuss at this point. Itmar. Hamakadish achoso. A man marries his sister, which of course is nothing. Rava mamos chozrim. Rav says the sister has to return the money. Let's say he gives her the money, gives her $1,000, and she takes the money, and 6 months later he says, you know, I want my money back. Rav says she has to return the money. 1 second. Shmuel Nama most matana. Shmuel says no. She has a right to retain the money because the money he had given her is considered a gift. This is Machlokes Rav and Shmuel. We'll see in a moment. Rava most chozrim. Why must she return the money? Adam yodei shein kiddushin tov sebachoso. The person knows. I mean, there's not even a question. The man, the brother who gave his sister the money knows he cannot marry his sister. So the question is, what was his intent when he gave her the money? V'goma v'nosel l'shum pikodo. And he gave it to her just purely for safekeeping. That she should be the custodian, the shomer, to watch the money on his behalf. Simar asks, but if in fact he wants it to be the shomer, the custodian, leima lo l'shem pikodon, hey, could you please watch the money on my behalf? Sova lo makablo. She believes, he says, if he would ask her that, she'll say, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in complicating my life. But if she believes it's hers, she'll what? She'll retain it. And then later will come with a claim. She gives him a problem. He'll take it to a din Torah. And the Bezdin will tell her that it's a pekodin, that it was only given to you for safekeeping. He never intended. Shmuel says he disagrees. That when he gave her the money was as a gift. As a gift, not as a pekodin. For the same, a person knows, not beyond any doubt, a person knows he cannot marry his sister. So why did he put it within the context of marriage? And he definitely gave it as a gift. So if the name of L'Shematona, you want to give her a gift, give her a gift. What are you coming up with this? Something which you know definitely is meaningless. So Ksefel Milsa. He feels he doesn't want to embarrass her. You mean if I... No, he says, I'm giving you this gift in marriage. That's it. That's all he says. What's the embarrassing? What's the embarrassment? So,
what does she think? I mean, she knows she can marry you. So what is her thought about this money?
This kiddushin. There's no follow-up. There's no follow-up beyond this point. She says, look, let my brother believe what he wants. Right? He never intended, and she never intended. So she thinks, her brother doesn't understand. Her brother doesn't understand. And he believes that somehow the sister doesn't understand. So, right? But so he has his intent. The question is, what is his intent? This is, how do you perceive the majority of people? What am subject? It's an evaluation. What is the mindset of people? When something is obviously nothing, what is the mindset of that person when he transfers that? Is it a gift or is it pekodin? Like we discussed the case, person takes a loan from the bank, and he has a Bentley. He's afraid to leave it on the street. It'll be damaged, it'll be stolen. And he has to give it to the bank for collateral. And he's away, goes on a cruise for 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, he repays the loan. It would have cost him more to garage it than what the bank. The bank kept it and protected it for him. Right? Same idea.
If she accepts it under these circumstances, is she ready to take the next step that you have done?
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Why would we say such a thing?
Because every person knows, everybody knows, that it's incestuous, and the sister would not, and he would not. So, her mindset is, he wants to give me something, fine. Now the question is, and it's irrelevant what she believes. What she believes is irrelevant. She believes it's maybe a gift. And he wants me to save face, not to embarrass me. He says, no, that wasn't my intent. My intent was Pikodin. I want it back. It's all dependent on what he intended, not what she believed. She understands this is some kind of doing it in a way for whatever reason. But whatever her understanding is irrelevant, it's what his understanding. Did he transfer it? Did he not transfer it?
Really odd. I mean, if she knows Allah is, as you said, it's meaningless, she cannot take the next step with him, then why is she accepting?
My brother wants to give it to me. So he says, my brother's intent. She has her own understanding. He probably wants to give me a gift. That's what she thinks. And he doesn't want to embarrass me. To indicate that I'm needy. Not needy. So therefore, this is somehow to cover it up. It's a cover-up. After the brother gives her a rude awakening, she gets Azmon al-Din. By the way, this is because it's not a gift. He never intended to give you a gift. So she said, but I believed it was. It's irrelevant what you believed. So Rab says it's a pekodin. So she has to return it. Shmuel says her valuation was correct. And therefore she has a right to intend, to retain it.
You know the case that a woman can give a man a gift to effectuate marriage.
When? Only if he's a special person. Only if she gives him a gift, and he says, I am marrying you with the benefit that you're receiving, that I'm accepting your gift. But he's very explicit. It's an Adam Choshev. It's a man who doesn't normally accept gifts. So the value is not the value of the gift, it's the value of receiving the gift. That this man would receive your gift. What would you pay for that man to receive your gift? Minimally a Shaveh Pruta.
So now I'm going to reverse this case. The sister wants her brother to look after her mother. And he's a Adam Choshev. So she makes the statement. He has to return the money.
Wait. He has to say something now. I want you to marry me with the money I give you.
And he says the word.
Harei Mukdeshesli with what?
The pleasure that I'm going to get
It
from
would be the same discussion. Exact same discussion.
Yes,
Exact.
look
It
at that.
would be the argument Rav and Shmuel. Is she giving him the gift, or is she giving him something just for safekeeping? Exact same argument.
Whose intent counts now?
The giver, always the giver.
So it's her intent.
There would be her intent. Did she release it? Did she not release it?
So what are we talking about?
Shmuel is the moment. It's a monetary rule like Shmuel. Okay? So let's go further. Moser Ravina. So Ravina cites a Mishnah. Hamafish chalosu. Now, when you tithe bread, what do you have to tithe it from? Just let's talk. You have two types of doughs. You have a dough, and you have a batter. Batter means something which is more liquidy, right? So let's say you have a liquid batter, and you pour it into the pan. Now it bakes. When it bakes, it turns into a cake, right? But you could have actually a dough which is yeast, which usually is from yeast. So there, it's already considered dough. It's dough before you bake it. It's not doughy. It is doughy. No, it's not baked. It's not baked. Raw dough, a yeast dough, what they call a yeast dough, right? You have a loose batter and you have a thick batter. Of course you have to. No, it depends how much. You have to have a certain amount. No, before we go further, let's talk about, right? Torah says you have to take reishis arisosechem, the first of your batter, of the dough that you made, right? So you're supposed to tithe it, so you tithe it. What about, it's liquid, you can't tithe liquid. It's not called a dough. So after it's baked, now you tithe it, okay? Let's say he would want to tithe it when it's liquid. It has no value, because it's not considered arisosechem. So if it's already a dough before it's baked, you tithe the dough. But if it's liquid, which is not a dough, right, so you have to first bake it, and after you bake it, then you tithe it, right? Let's say a person goes and he says, you know something, I want to tithe the flour even before I add water to it, right? And then he gives that flour to the Kohen. Now, what do you do with challah? After you tithe it, you give it to the Kohen. So a person tithes, he has so much flour, he takes a certain percentage, which is the percentage normally of tithing, and he gives it to the Kohen. Okay? Has he relieved his obligation? And now he takes that flour that he has, what remains, and he turns it into dough. He has an obligation. He has an obligation to tithe it, because you can't tithe flour. You're tithing dough. Now, but the Kohen received the flour. When the Kohen received the flour, since a person understands that you're not able to tithe flour, does the Kohen have to return the flour that he received? Because you only have a right to the flour because it's challah. But since you can't not tithe flour, so what you received was not challah. It was flour. Right? So seemingly, the Kohen should have to return the flour that he receives to the one who had given to him. Okay, that's the discussion right now. Okay? It depends how much bread you're baking. La locha, the way we rule. La locha. If you make bread or cake with 3 pounds of flour, which is questionable whether it's sufficient, you tithe without a bracha. 5 pounds, you tithe with a bracha. Less than 3 pounds, you don't have to tithe whatsoever. You burn it. If it's a kosher bakery, if it's a Jewish bakery, not a kosher, right? But they have to burn it. Yeah, sure, of course. If you ever buy Strites matzahs, so Rav Aaron Soloveitchik, he was the mashgiach on Strites, going back to the 40s. So on the box it was printed, Chalo Genumen. This is pre-Hasidim. But Yiddish, it's not on the box because Jews read Yiddish. It says challah was taken. That was printed on the box. Today, if you buy Astreicher cookies, there's a really Hasidish, right? So it's printed. The eggs have been checked, things that for blood spots. The flour was sifted to make sure there's no larvae in the flour, and challah genumen, and challah was taken. That's all printed in Yiddish on the side of the bag. And it's Yoshin also. Okay? No, it's contaminated. Today we're all contaminated. So the right. That's why we burn it. Okay? So let's Hamafish chaloso kemach. A person who tithes his flour, that it should be challah, ain't no challah. It's nothing. It's not considered tithing. Begezel biat kohen. And when the Kohen receives it, it's considered the equivalent of theft in the hands of the Kohen. Meaning the Kohen has to return it, has to return it to the person who gives. V'amai gezel biat Kohen. Why should it be considered the equivalent of a stolen item in the end of the Kohen? This seemingly should be similar to a man marrying a sister, right? We say it's known, any Jew, if you lived in those days, every Jew knew he had to tithe. The average Jew knows you tithe dough, you don't tithe flour. So evidently, why did he give it? Why did he give it? Why did he give it to the Kohen? No, if it would be a gift, it wouldn't be gezel. Evidently, it was for pikotin, for safekeeping. A gift it wouldn't be. You can't call him a thief. But it says, we're quoting a Mishnah. The Mishnah says it's gezel biat Kohen. It's equivalent of a stolen item in the hand of the Kohen. So the question is, why should it be considered a stolen item if we say a person, when something which is obvious, and you give it as for some, and you say you're giving it for some other reason, it's only for what is a gift? Name Odom Yodeshem Afisha Chalo Kemach V'nos L'Shem Atona. Right? That's the question. According to Rav, right? According to Shmuel, let's say it's definitely a gift. He didn't want to embarrass the Kohen. Shani Hosom, the Nafik Churvimino. Over there, under normal circumstances, we do say it's a gift. But over there, you could actually have a churban. It could come out, literally, a disaster could arise from this. Why? Zimnin, the Islay Kohen pochs bichomish revoim kemach. The times, the Kohen, let's say, has less than the minimum amount of flour that requires hafrashas challah. Even the Kohen, he makes his own batter. He could tithe it, then he keeps the challah himself. But let's say he has less than the minimum amount of flour, and he makes a batter. He has no obligation to tithe it. Let's say he takes this flour that he received and he adds it to the flour. So in his mind, he believes that what? That since this flour is considered tithe flour, it's already tithe. So by adding it to the batter, although volume-wise, under normal circumstances, you would have to take challah, he has no obligation. Because the amount that he has is not sufficient. And what he's adding is something which already was tithed. But factually, it's not correct. Factually, what he was given to him is not considered a valid tithing. So it's considered flour, which is untithed flour, right? So when he added it to the batter, now he has a sufficient volume, which causes an obligation to take challah. So if he should eat this batter without tithing it, what is he eating? He's eating tevel. It's untithed dough. He may not know the halacha. No, we say we're concerned about this, right? So the Gemara's going to ask the question in a minute. The Gemara's going to ask that question. Cohen has tevel. Does he have to tithe the tevel? Yes, he has wheat. Of course he has to tithe. No, he retains. He keeps it and he eats it.
It's just a separation.
Separation, correct. It's designated as whatever it may be, then he eats it.
He doesn't give it to anybody else.
He's as good as anyone else. Exactly. Correct.
So what's the purpose of the Kohen tithing his own produce? How do we understand that?
Once discussed. Once mentioned Rashi in Yevamos. Rashi says if a person eats tevel, what is he liable for? Isa b'dei shamayim, spiritual excision. So Rashi says why? He says because what is tevel? I once mentioned it. It's a composite of chulin and truma intermingled. So when you tithe the truma, you're only identifying where the truma is in the mixture. Okay? So Tosas says on Rashi, if that's the case, why should a Kohen have to tithe? Kohen's permitted in truma, so why should he have to tithe? But even if the Kohen eats tevel, he has this identical liability. Therefore, Tosas says no. Tevel is not an intermingling of chulin and truma, but rather the act of tithing, you create the truma. That's why Torah says tevel untithed, it's an entity. You have to. There's a spiritual act. It is an act which spiritually perfects it. What do you mean? The coin's not permitted to eat tevel. It's identical lie. But why? Why? Because you have an obligation to designate something as truma. But what is tevel? Tevel has no relevance to truma. It's a consequence of tithing. You're creating the truma. You're creating the truma. No, we're discussing eating. Cannot eat it. But that's the question. That's Tosaf's question. That's why he's rejecting Rashi's position. Okay? Right, so we once had it. We discussed this. So we explained and we showed from Rashi, because what Rashi says in Yevomis contradicts Rashi in Sukkah. Because Rashi says that you could be Yotzu, at one point you could be Yotzu an Esrog of Tevel. You could be Yotze. Everybody agrees if you have an Esrog which is a partnership, you cannot be Yotze, because the full Esrog is not yours. But yet Rashi, when the Gemara says that even though you're not permitted to eat the Esrog, you could be Yotze with it, you do not have to have a monetary ownership. Rashi says you could be Yotze with Esrog Shel Tevel. Okay? So the question is, it's a contradiction in Rashi. Rashi says, what is the makeup tevel, chulin, truma, composite of chulin, truma? So the question is, how could you be yotze with it? Even though it does not be an object you permitted to eat, but it's a partnership. It's a partnership between the Kohen and the Yisrael. If the truma pre-exists the tithing. So Rashi is contradictory. So what we said was, and I found it afterwards, Rabbi Yosef Engel says this, what is a partnership? Someone else has a monetary interest. The question is, the Gemara says a chulin, that when you have truma, the person has truma, and he hadn't given to a Kohen, and then he goes and destroys it. Does a Kohen have a legal claim against him to be able to say, you must make restitution for destroying the truma? Wait. So the Gemara says, that it's moment Kohen, although it belongs to the Shevet, monetarily it's that, but since no one Kohen can make the claim that he has the right to it, it's called Mabashein Lo Tovim. It's money which no one has the right to make a claim to it. Of course, the one who damaged it has the right to choose whichever Kohen. So you could say to every Kohen, you're not the Kohen that it would have given it to. So you have no claim. But pre-tithing, it's not, you see clearly from Rashi, it's not Mammon Kohen. When does it become monetarily the Shevet's? Only after the tithing. The Torah only permits the Kohen to eat Truma only after it's been tithed. When it becomes his money, now you're permitted. Until then, you're not permitted. So it's very good. What is Tevel? It's a composite of Truma and Chulin. But when does the Torah permit the Kohen to eat it? Only once it becomes his asset. When does it become his asset? Only once it's tithed. Okay? That's how we answer Rashi. Therefore, Tosafos' question on Rashi is not a question. But the Kohen's permitted Truma. He's permitted once it's been transferred into his domain. When is that? That's only when it's identified, when it's tithed. But on a philosophical level, what is the rationale? If it's Truma, why does Torah only allow it to be his monetarily only once it's been tithed, identified? What's the reason? What is Truma called, referred to? Rashis. The first of your tithing. Why is Truma only permitted to the Kohen and not to the ordinary Jew? What is Rashis? Rashis identifies with God. Anything which has the characteristic of Rashis has relevance to holiness. That's holiness. It reflects Hashem's characteristic. The Kohen, being the most special of the Jews, he has that same status. He has that holy status. He's God's representative. As a result of that, only he's permitted to eat the Truma. But you have to. But until you tithe it, it's not Rashis. That's what the Torah doesn't allow you to eat it until it's tithed. You must first tithe it, even though it's an intermingling of two. But you have to establish it as Rashis. Rashis is the first of the tithing. So one doesn't assume that reality only after it's been tithed. That's when does it become the asset of the Kohen? When it assumes that identity of Rashis. That's the understanding. Okay, we have another few minutes. So the Gemara asks on Shmuel, if it's a gift, why are we calling the Kohen a thief? It's considered the equivalent of retaining something that's been stolen. So it says, because we're concerned that the Kohen may have had the volume of flour which is less than the amount that's obligated to tithe, and believing that this flour was already the equivalent of being tithed, he'll add it to the batter, and now he has a full volume, and he believes it's not sufficient to obligate him. Correct? That's what the Kohen believes. V'hai oli shlei, b'adi ador, he will mix them, he will knead them together. Uksova niskano isoso, v'osa lich michlo betivlo. He'll believe this dough has been corrected, perfected, and lead in a state of tevel. So the Gemara asks a question. Who asked the question? Moshe. But you just finished saying that everybody knows. If the gifter knows, so the Kohen definitely knows that you can't tithe flour. So if the Kohen knows that, so there shouldn't be a concern. He's going to add it to his batter. So why are we concerned, right? So Gemara says, Yodeh ve'enu Yodeh. He knows not, but he doesn't know exactly the reason why. Why you're not permitted to tithe flour? Yodeh she mafresh chalo kemach. In Yodeh, but he doesn't know the real reason. Sovar tamei mishum ticha the Kohen v'ticha kon achiltek. You hear this? The Kohen is a little bit of an amoritz. He believes, you know why the Torah says you can't give flour? Because the Torah says we want the Yisrael to make the effort and the expenditure of making it the dough, not to put that burden on the Kohen. When you give him the dough, it's already nearly a finished product. That's the reason. So let's say the Kohen says, I agree to accept it. I'm willing to waive that degree of effort. So he believes that that's the case. I accept it as what? I accept it as flour. So if that's the case, he really believes that he's absolved, but factually he's not. So if he should add this to the amount, which is less than volume, he believes it doesn't create the obligation, but factually he does have the obligation.